Hi everyone, we are going to get started on topic 16.1, which is understand perimeter. So this note sheet, you're going to see it has two different sides. What you're going to be doing is you're going to fold your note sheet in half, and at the end of the video, you will be cutting it down this line to glue in your notebook. So when you're writing, just make sure you don't cross over this line because it will be cut and on two separate sheets in your notebook. So let's go ahead and get started. Topic 6 was all about finding the area of figures, and now we're going to introduce perimeter, which is very closely related to area. Perimeter is the distance around a figure, where area is everything that is inside. So in order to find the perimeter, we need to add up all of the side lengths. So here we're just going to add up the numbers. Now I have got this shape that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. So I'm just going to add up those 5 numbers. So it's going to be 8 plus 8 plus 9 plus 7 plus 16. So this might take us a few moments to add up, which is fine. 8 and 8 is 16, 9 and 7 is 16, and then I have that one more 16. And if you're more comfortable stacking them over on the side, go ahead and do that. 16 plus 16, 6 and 6 is 12, carry my 1 is 32. 32 plus one more 16 is going to give me 48 feet, and I always want to label it. When we are showing our perimeter, we want to say P equals 48 feet, and this is how we show a complete answer. So we know we're talking about the perimeter as opposed to area, and that we've got our label here, 48 feet. Now you'll remember from our introduction video that perimeter is always measured in regular units. Area has those square units, perimeter is just regular units. So for this figure over here, we're actually going to need to count the side lengths. We don't have them labeled like up here. Now we need to be careful because this can get really tricky around the corners. So what I want to look for is the sides of the squares. So there's one side there, and I want to go all the way around the figure, marking them up and counting them. I like to use these little hash marks here to make sure I'm counting each one and I don't skip any. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I'd come down this side for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So here I'm going to have 16, and I know that each one of these is an inch, so 16 inches. P equals 16 inches. So let's just take a look at this figure here. You're going to notice that this square here on the end, we actually counted 3 of its sides, whereas up here on the top, only one side was exposed to that outside perimeter. So be careful around those corners because you're going to notice that we've got a couple on this side, and this square also had 3. Be careful with those corners. They can be tricky, but the perimeter of this figure is 16. So again, sometimes you're going to be given a shape that has the side lengths labeled and we add them up. Sometimes you'll just have to count the squares if you're giving a figure that's on a grid. And there's another situation that you might come across, and that is where you are given a perimeter and you need to make a figure. So the easiest thing to do is to make a plan to figure out what your rectangle is going to be. So we know we're going to have a figure, if we're making a rectangle, that is 4 sides that equals 14. Now you could just start drawing lines and make a shape that's not a rectangle like this with some guessing and checking, but I like to actually make a plan so I can get it on the first try. So what I need is 4 numbers that are going to equal 14. And if we're making a rectangle, I know that opposite sides need to be equal. So 2 of these numbers will be the same and the other 2 will be the same. So how do we go about doing that? Well, what we're going to do is we need to break 14 up into 4 numbers. So we'll do that step by step. Our first step is to take that perimeter and we're actually going to break it in half. So I'd have a 7 and a 7. So I know that a length and a width has to equal 7 and my other length and width has to equal 7. And now we have some options. We want to break it up one more time, each of these to give us 4 numbers. And we need to make them numbers that will equal 7. And there's a lot of different combinations I can do. I can do a 1 plus a 6, 2 and a 5, or even a 3 and a 4. So I actually have 3 different options that I can make for these rectangles. And on the side, I would need a matching set. So this would be rectangle 1, rectangle 2, and rectangle 3. 3 different rectangles. I cannot use 0 and 7 because we can't have a side length of nothing. That wouldn't exist. So I'm actually going to do my 1 by 6. So I know I'm going to have a width of 6 and a length of 1. So I'm going to have 1 down here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 up, and fill in across. And when I count that up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And there's my perimeter of 14. 1, 6, 1, 6. So let's recap. I take my perimeter, I break it in half to get 2 pieces, and then from there I can then decide what my rectangle is going to be. I can break it up any way that is still going to equal that number that is half of our perimeter. So in this case, I had 3 different options of rectangles that I could draw. All right, down here we're going to use the grid to make a figure that has a perimeter of 20. And we are going to follow the same exact steps. I'm going to get you started off here, and I want you to pause the video and try this one on your own, figure out what your side lengths are going to be, and then go ahead and draw your figure, and then just double check that your perimeter equals 20. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to break my perimeter in half, which would be a 10 and a 10. And then I'm going to break that number again into 2 numbers that would equal 10. We're going to have a lot of options for this. You could have chosen 1 plus 9, 2 plus 8, 3 plus 7, 4 plus 6, or 5 plus 5. So as long as you've done one of those, you've got it. You do not need to do all of them. I'm just showing you all of the options of different rectangles. So in this case, we can actually draw 4 different rectangles. 5, sorry, I forgot my 3 plus 7. 5 different rectangles that would have a perimeter of 20. So you would just choose one of these. I'm going to go with the 3 and the 7. So I'm going to count down 3, 1, 2, 3, and across 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, up 3, and across. So I have a 3 by 7. These are just units. And then to find the perimeter, I would add them all up and make sure it came out to 20. And then you could even go ahead and find the area of this by doing your length times width. Area would equal 3 times 7, or 21 square units. So we've just found the area and perimeter of this rectangle. All right, so now remember, you're going to cut this in half down that line, glue them in your notebook, and then you can go ahead and continue on with 16-1. Have a great day. Bye.